Hello friends, welcome to spoken tutorial of 8051 Interrupts Programming Part 1. After completion of the tutorial, you will be able to compare interrupts versus pooling, describe concept of interrupt service routine, describe available interrupts in 8051, describe SFR related to interrupts. These are the specific learning outcomes of this tutorial. An interrupt is an external or internal event that interrupts the microcontroller to inform it that the device needs its service. So, if microcontroller is busy in doing another task, microcontroller is executing main program, the event externally or internally fired and told microcontroller that the device needs its service. That is called interrupt. Means that event fired internally or externally interrupted the microcontroller from doing its main program. A single microcontroller can serve several devices by two ways. One of the ways is interrupt. Whenever any device needs its service, the device notifies the microcontroller by sending it an interrupt signal. Upon receiving an interrupt signal, the microcontroller whatever it is doing and serve the device. This is the concept of interrupt. The program which is associated with interrupt called the interrupt service routine or interrupt handler. Another way is polling. The microcontroller continuously monitors the status of a given device. When the conditions met, it performs the service. In polling, observe that in polling, the microcontroller has to continuously monitor the status of a given device. So he is busy in monitoring continuously the status of device. Whenever the condition will meet, it performs that service. After that, it moves on the monitor the next device until one is served. Polling can monitor the status of several devices and serve each of them as certain conditions are met. The polling method is not efficient since it wastes much of the microcontroller's time by polling devices that do not need services. This is the example, friends. JNB TF slash target, where target is the label. We have used this instruction in a timer programming, where microcontroller needs to continuously monitor the status of TF flag. If TF flag sets to 1, it indicates that the timer overflow or rolls over. Then and only then this loop will broken down and it will execute the next instruction. Means then and only then the service is performed by the microcontroller. So microcontroller is continuously busy in the same loop for plenty much of time while it hurtles the microcontroller from doing another task. So this method is not efficient. Polling method is not efficient. We have already observed this method in timer serial communication. The advantage of interrupt is that the microcontroller can serve many devices, not, of course, not all the same time. Each device can get the attention of the microcontroller based on the assigned priority. There are certain priorities of interrupt available in microcontroller. Each device has certain priority. For the polling method, it is not possible to assign priority since it checks all devices in a round-robin fashion. The microcontroller can also ignore or mask a device request for service. If microcontroller masks any any service, any device request for a service, then it can ignore that the service request from that device. This is called as masking. So for ignoring the service request, we can use masking. This is not possible for polling method. In polling method, microcontroller needs to serve all devices in round robin fashion. Service routine. The program associated with interrupt is called as interrupt service routine or interrupt handler. For every interrupt, there must be an interrupt service routine or interrupt handler. When an interrupt is invoked, the microcontroller runs the interrupt service routine. Means whenever interrupt request generated from the device and sent towards the microcontroller, it invokes the microcontroller has to be run the interrupt service routine. For every interrupt, there is a fixed location in memory that holds the address of its ISR interrupt service routine. The group of memory locations set aside to hold the addresses of ISR is called interrupt vector table. So for every ISR, there is a fixed location in the memory which hold the address of the ISR. The group of memory locations set aside to hold the addresses of ISR is called as interrupt vector table. So what are the steps in executing an interrupt? Let us simplify that with one generalized example. Suppose you are reading a book in your study room. Suddenly, one of your best friends knocks the door. This is an interrupt. Means your friend is interrupting you from reading a book. What will you do in such condition? You mark the page, even a line number of a book you had studied till now. Then close the book and you are ready to serve your friend request which was on the door. Then you will go towards your friend, opens the door, solve the purpose of his or her coming to your home. After he leave your home, what will you do? You get back to your study room, hold the book, search the mark where you left reading the book and start again reading a book where you left. The same steps followed by microcontroller during the interrupt. Upon activation of an interrupt, the microcontroller goes through the following steps. First, it finishes the instructions it is executing and saves the address of the next instruction program counter on the stack. Friends, you all know that program counter stores the address of the next instruction to be fetched. So, the first step in executing an interrupt is it stores or it saves the address of the next instruction from the program counter on the stack memory. It is same as marking the page number in the book. It also saves the current status of all the interrupts internally but not on the stack memory. Then it jumps to a fixed location in memory called interrupt vector table that holds the address of the interrupt service routine. The microcontroller gets the address of ISR from the interrupt vector table and jumps to it. It starts to execute the interrupt service subroutine until it reaches the last instruction of the subroutine, which is RETI, return from interrupt. This is the instruction by which microcontroller returns from subroutine to the main program. RETI, returns from interrupt. Upon executing the RETI instruction, the microcontroller returns to the place where it was interrupted. First, it gets the program counter address from the stack by popping the top 2 bytes of the stack into the PC. Then it starts to execute from that address. So after execution of RETI instruction, microcontroller gets the address which was saved in the stack memory by popping. You know what is pushing and popping. Push instruction is used to the store the data or address in a stack memory. Pop instruction is used to retrieve or read the data from stack memory. Then by popping the top 2 bytes of the stack into the program counter, then it starts the execute from that address. There are 6 interrupts in 8051. Number of interrupts are 6. According to some books, they uh, they consider there are 5 interrupts in 8051, but we will go through 6 interrupts in 8051. 6 interrupts as follows. First is reset, power up reset. This is an interrupt. 2 interrupts are set aside for the timers, one for timer 0 and one for timer 1. 2 interrupts are set aside for hardware external interrupt. P3.2 and P3.3 are for external hardware interrupt, which is called as INT0 and INT1 or EX1 or EX2. Serial communication has a single interrupt that belongs to both receive and transfer. So for serial communication, for receiving and transferring data, there is only one interrupt. So one is for reset, that is called as power up reset. 2 interrupts for timer 0 and timer 1. 2 for external hardware interrupt, INT0 and INT1, and 1 for serial communication. Thus, there are 6 interrupts in 8051. This is interrupt vector table where the address of ISR was saved. Top interrupt, the ROM location and pin. First one is reset. Reset address is 000H in hexadecimal. Next one is external hardware interrupt INT0. Address is 0003 in interrupt vector table. Next one is timer 0 TF0. This is its address is 000B. The gap between this interrupt and this interrupt is of 8 bytes. So there is the difference between each interrupt is 8 bytes. External hardware interrupt, which address is 0013. Timer 1 interrupt 001B. Serial communication interrupt 0023. So in between each interrupt vector location, there is a gap of 8 bytes. External hardware interrupt INT0 is on pin number P3.2 and external hardware interrupt INT1 is on pin number P3.3. So this is the way how to write a program ORG00 is our ORG directive used at the starting of the program. It is for wake up ROM reset location. Then ljump main, main is the label, ljump is a long jump. It is for bypass interrupt vector table. As we all know, the location of interrupt vector table is from 00H to 0023H. So we bypass it by using ljump main. Then there is a directive org30h where our main program will be start and the label main is given, from which we have to write our instruction. Then the last directive is A. So this is the structure how to write a program to bypass interrupt vector table. Enabling or disabling an interrupt. Upon reset, all interrupts are disabled, means marked, meaning that none of will be responded to by the microcontroller if they are activated. So upon reset, all interrupts are masked or deactivated. If we want to use interrupt, it should be enabled or activated before sending a interrupt request to microcontroller. The interrupts must be enabled by software in order for the microcontroller to respond to them. There is a SFR related to interrupt which is called as IE, interrupt enable, that is responsible for enabling and disabling the interrupt. So this is a interrupt enable register, IE register. The structure of IE register is like that. The D7 bit of IE register is enable interrupt bit. This is like a main switch of our home. If we want to turn on or off any fan or bulb or any other equipment, the main switch should be on. If we off the main switch, then there is no power and any of the equipment like fan, bulb or fridge or washing machine will not able to turn on as the supply was interrupted. So interrupt enable bit should be 1 for in order for rest of the register to take effect. Interrupt enable bit should be 1 in order to enable all other interrupt, any one of the other interrupt enable bit should be 1. If interrupt enable bit is 0, then any of the interrupt is not able to send interrupt request to microcontroller, means all the interrupts are masked. So EA bit is for enabling all interrupts. The next bit is not implemented and reserved for the future use. Then ET2, this bit is enable or disable timer Z2 overflow or capture interrupt in 8952 microcontroller. It is not useful in 8051 microcontroller. It is not useful in 8051 microcontroller. Then ES bit is used for enable or disable serial interrupt. Means if we set this bit, serial interrupt will be enabled. Then ET1 is for enabling or disabling timer 1 overflow interrupt. EX1 is used for enabling or disabling external interrupt 1. ET0 is for enabling or disabling timer interrupt 0. Timer 0 overflow interrupt. EX0 is used for enable or disable external interrupt 0. So this is the structure of IE register. This is the SFR related to interrupt. To enable an interrupt, we take the following steps. First, bit D7 of IE register, which is EA. I call this is as a main switch, must be set to high to allow the rest of the register to take effect. The value of EA. If EA is equal to 1, interrupts are enabled and will be responded to if their corresponding bits in IE are high. If EA is equal to 0, no interrupt will be responded to even if the associated bit in the IE register is high. So if we want to enable serial port interrupt, then we have to set this bit ES as well as this bit EA, because this is the main switch EA. If we set this bit and this bit is 0, then the microcontroller will not respond the serial interrupt. For responding or enabling the interrupt of serial port or any other interrupt, the corresponding bit should be high and EA bit should also be placed high. The example how to enable or disable an interrupt. Show the instruction to enable the serial interrupt. Enable the serial interrupt, timer 0 interrupt and external hardware interrupt 1. In task B, disable mask the timer 0 interrupt. Then in C, show how to disable all interrupts with single instruction. So first we go through A, move IE comma hash 1 1. This is for EA bit. 0, no use. 0, this is used in 8952 microcontroller. 0. Then 1 is for serial interrupt. We have to enable serial interrupt. For that, serial interrupt should be 1. Then 0. Then 1. This is for timer 1. We don't need to enable this for so we place here 0. This is for external interrupt 1 and this is for timer 0 and this is for external interrupt 0. So we have to enable timer 0, external interrupt 1 and serial interrupt, and this is a interrupt enable bit. As IE register is bit addressable, we can manipulate a single bit of IE register without disturbing any other bits of IE register by using this kind of instruction. Set B IE7 means EA is equal to 1, global interrupt, global enable. Set B IE.4 means enable serial interrupt. AE set B IE.1 enable timer 0 interrupt. Set B IE.2 enable external interrupt 1. So by this way we can enable interrupt. Next task is assigned to us is disable the timer 0 interrupt. We can disable by using single instruction clear IE.1 means mask timer 0 interrupt only. Then show how to disable all the interrupts with a single instruction. So for that we will use our main switch interrupt enable bit. So clear IE7, which is our interrupt enable bit, disable all interrupts. It is also called as global interrupt enable or disable bit. So by this way we can enable or disable interrupts in 8051 by using IE register. Let us summarize. In this tutorial, we learn about interrupt versus pooling, concept of interrupt service routine, available interrupts in 8051, SFR related to interrupts. Thank you. Thank you very much. Keep learning. It never ends.